Hello everyone, this is Joy from Mother Gaia Alchemy. Thank you so much for joining me today and happy Human Design New Year. Today, 22nd of January, is the day that the Sun moves into Gate 41. Gate 41 known as the Gate of the Human Design New Year. And that's what I want to talk to you about today and just give you a little bit of guidance as to how you can use this energy for your best expression. So firstly, the name of Gate 41 is the Gate of Decrease or the Gate of Contraction. And in other places, it's also known as the Gate of Fantasy or Imagination. So it feels, when you feel into those names, it can feel a little bit confusing. And yet they are all quite interconnected with one another. Before we head into the gate, though, I want to talk about why today is known as the Human Design New Year and where that comes from, especially when we're looking at the title or the name of the gate being decrease or contraction. It feels like, it doesn't feel very much like expansive New Year energy, does it? Well, you might know this, you might not know this, but the human design system is made up of multiple modalities, and they include astrology, the I Ching, the tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life, the chakra system, Myers-Briggs personality program, and genetics. And genetics is the aspect we don't speak about often. It's not the part that we generally speak about when we are talking about human design, but it is very much an integral part of the entire system, in that it actually, if you were to take the zodiac, with the wheel of the zodiac and the 64 gates of the I Ching, the 64 codons, the DNA codons actually fit perfectly onto that as well. And so it turns out that with Gate 41, the initiating codon, the starting codon, sits in that gate, which is why today is seen as the Human Design New Year. So the initiating codon is the codon. I confess I don't know a whole lot about the genetic aspect of this, but what I do understand about it is that you can see this particular codon, the initiating codon, as the capital letter of a genetic sentence. It's the starting point. It heads up the string of genetic information relating to that theme. So from that perspective, from the genetic aspect, we see that it is the beginning. Okay, and the sun and the earth move through all 64 gates throughout the year, and so they will transit all of the gates, the sun moving in one direction on the mandala, the earth moving in the opposite direction on the mandala. So they are always in opposite gates, the sun and the earth, but they are traveling together through the mandala, all 64 gates throughout the year. And the Gate 41 holds that initiating codon, okay, with that information. So having said that, we now come to the Gate 41 that sits on the root center and is leaning and reaching upward toward the Gate 30 on the solar plexus. The solar plexus being the center for emotions. Okay, it's an emotional. It's linked to emotional experiences, and so Gate 41 is reaching up, seeking an emotional expression as it fantasizes and imagines how it might be feeling through a particular experience. So when it comes to the name of this gate being the Gate of Decrease, how does that play then with the fantasy, the imagination? Well, it's easy to see. When we are fantasizing, for example, it might be a sexual fantasy. It's not necessarily a sexual fantasy. It can be. But we can fantasize about all kinds of things. We can fantasize about a new home. We can fantasize about a long trip, a holiday. We can fantasize children play with everyday items and fantasize that they are superpower. They have superpowers, right? So the fantasy is there. And so it's this dreaming, it's this yearning for a feeling that is sitting on the through the gate 30 on the solar plexus, with that emotional connection. Okay. And so sometimes with these fantasies, when we allow the fantasy to really just expand and grow and run away with ourselves in it, it can be very personal, and it can also be very destructive. Sometimes resulting in impulsive behaviors. And what the gate of decrease is saying is, yes, it's great to fantasize. It's great to imagine. It's wonderful, actually, because that is, remember, this is the starting codon. It's the initiating codon. We have to begin with the dream, right? It has to begin with the dream. And so instead of rushing out and acting on the fantasy today and this week, the gate of decrease is behaving a little bit like the gardener in the garden during winter, and coming and seeing a branch beginning to grow outward and express itself, and the gardener coming and decreasing, contracting, cutting it back. Knowing that come spring, come the new season, that branch is going to just be filled with a prolific amount of abundance. But in the moment, we can't see that because it's still winter and it's still the place of the dreaming, right? It's the dark place of the dreaming. And I say that speaking from sunny South Africa. Right now, we're in the peak of summer, so it's quite hot here. But for our northern hemisphere friends, and for you can sort of be more present with this analogy of being in the dream of winter right now, and knowing that with the contraction, the decrease, cutting back that branch, there is something that is being prepared for the next season. Now, I'll give you an example from myself today. I experienced the sun energy so potently through this gate today. It was quite remarkable, actually. I'll start off with saying I don't have gate 41 defined in my chart. I have an open root center, and the gate 41 is open. So that means that as the neutrino stream from the sun moves through this gate, I am very much being affected by it. So I woke up this morning and had this fantastical idea to run a particular workshop, and honestly, I had everything written down within an hour. I had the dream, I could feel the feelings attached to it, I could feel who I wanted to work with in it, and how I wanted to teach, and what I wanted to teach. I have it written in my notes, 2 pages, the entire program. And it's so fascinating because that's the fantasy. The fantasy came through today. This emanation of source, this emanation of the dream suddenly came out of nowhere. This, I might say, after many, many weeks of feeling like I'm just like swimming through the void. Right? Like there's just like nothing else going on in my life. I'm trying to find the structures. But it's just dark and misty in front of me. And suddenly today, boom, I have this entire program set up, written down. I know what I want to do. But understanding the energetics of this time and the transit that we are going through, I understand that there is nothing for me to act on. In fact, it probably needs to be cut back a little bit, this idea of mine. It probably needs to be cut back a bit, trimmed back a bit, because it's not the season for me yet, right? But when the season comes, and as a manifesting generator, I am waiting now for someone in the field or something in the field for my body to respond to and say, hey, I have what you're looking for. I've got it written down. It's been waiting. I have it. And so it's not for me to act on it right now. I'm honing it back, I'm holding it, and I can still play this week with dreaming. I can still play with the fantasy of it. But whether I act on it right now is the question. And it's a question I know the answer to. As much as I can see the potential of it, I also know it's wiser for me to hold on, because perhaps there are aspects that I've overlooked, in information that is not yet with me, that is going to be important for me. You understand what I'm saying, right? It's just, this is the decrease, this is the contraction. And so there's so much promise in this fantasy, this idea, this imagination. There's a lot of promise, but I'm holding with the energy of this transit and saying, well, I'm going to decrease it, I'm going to cut, I'm going to trim, and I'm going to leave it on paper, and I'm going to keep playing with it. I'm going to keep imagining and reimagining as we go. And so for you, whatever it might be, perhaps it's an overseas trip, perhaps it's a new relationship, perhaps it is a lover that you are wanting, that you're imagining having a steamy little relationship with. Whatever that is, continue to just be in the presence of the imagination without acting on it yet. Because there may be bits that is not yet known to you that are important for this particular thing coming into manifestation. Now, at the same time, with the sun in gate 41 on the root, we have the earth in gate 31 on the throat. And so the earth is what we look to for stabilizing, okay, for stabilizing this energy. It's where we go to for grounding and for rootedness, so that, and stability, so that we don't act out, so that we don't just lash out and cause havoc with our imagination, okay? So what is the gate 31? Gate 31 on the throat is the voice of the leader. Okay, it's the voice of the leader that has been elected by the collective. It's the collective leader's voice that is so well respected, that is honored, that is revered, that you know that you can trust that voice. And when I was feeling into this voice, it felt very much like the earth's voice to me, because it's in its essence, this energy is the voice that actually reminds us of our connection and our interconnectedness with the all, with humanity, the animals, the earth, the solar system, everything connected. We are interconnected. It's the web of life, and we are all interconnected with one another. And that is a lot of what the voice is speaking. And it's the voice, that leader's voice, that comes with that energy of interconnectedness. So when I feel into gate 41 with its fantasies and its imaginations and the bigness of what it is that I want to bring in, and I can dream with it and play around with it and understand that I need to decrease and hold it a little bit, I hear the voice of the gate 31, the voice of the elected elder, the wise elder of the community. And it is saying, what you are dreaming, what you are fantasizing about, what it is that you are desiring in this moment, instead of running away with it, come back and feel into how this fantasy, this dream, this imagination supports our interconnectedness with everything and everyone on this planet. Is the fantasy one that is just about me, and fulfilling my desire for some emotional fulfillment or expression? Or can I harness that and look at it and go, oh, how does this dream, this fantasy, this desire, how can it serve the greater collection, the greater collective, if it were to come into being, if it were to come into form? Because right now, the word has not yet become flesh. Gate 41. It's not yet flesh. It's essence. Okay, so there's the essence of a dream. There's the essence of an idea. There's the essence of the feeling of what could happen if that idea were to come into being. But it's not yet the word become flesh. It's not yet manifest. It's still finding, the essence is still finding its structure. It's finding its form, and then it will be made manifest. But while you are in the dreaming, feel into the stability of the earth and her voice that says, as you dream, how is what you are desiring and what you are feeling into supporting the interconnectedness of life? How is it supporting the all? And with that, I just want to say thank you for being with me here today. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I invite you to. I would love you to. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these readings and transit reports. So if you don't want to miss out on them, please join me. And I will see you next time.